Hello, Scream Demons, and welcome to the Screams from the Basement podcast.
This is the scariest horror podcast on this side of the Black Lagoon. Screams from the Basement discusses the best double features the genre has to offer.
And we also interview the industry's finest that make our screams become nightmares. I am one of your creepy co-hosts. I am Casey Kelderman.
And I am Sam the Damned, and let's get screaming.
Let's get screaming on this sci-fi Christmas episode.
Sci-fi Christmas from 1984.
1984 is the year we're traveling back to on this sci-fi Christmas episode of Screams from the Basement as we talk about the ultimate 1984 Christmas science fiction double feature of Night of the Comet and Trancers.
Yeah, this was this is such a great double feature for one. I've been very excited for this episode ever since we decided this is what we were doing for our holiday episode. And that was before I even realized that both of these were from the same year, same quarter of a year. Like these were
both celebrating their 40th anniversaries this
yeah.
year.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible. We came up with the idea that both of us would pick an unorthodox Christmas, not really horror, just genre movie, you know? And Casey came up with Trancers and I came up with Night of the Comet. And I think
who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that those were our personal picks?
Yeah. If you've been listening to this podcast since we started it and you're surprised by this topic, I don't know what to tell you.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be surprised at all. No, this is cool because last year we did for our Christmas episode. We always try to do a Christmas episode. Like every great series, you have to have a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
And last year we did, was it Christmas Evil and Christmas Bloody Christmas, right?
Yeah. Yep. And to be honest, I kind of just wanted to pick Christmas Bloody Christmas again this year.
We should just do it every year. That's our Christmas story where we just talk about Christmas Bloody Christmas every holiday season.
It really is. I've been itching to pull my Blu-ray out of that one, but I'm waiting until I'm closer to actual Christmas.
Yeah, we'll get there. I was getting real itchy this week too to watch that movie again. Yep. I keep seeing it pop up on people's letterboxes and social accounts, and I'm like, it's about that time of year, isn't it?
Yep.
But instead, we are talking some unorthodox Christmas movies, ones that people might look at and say, okay, I get the connection that they're both science fiction / horror genre films from 1984. But also, they're both secret Christmas movies.
They are. And both, weirdly, are like sci-fi movies that have a zombie bent to them.
Yes.
Like, this is a weirdly perfect double feature.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Honestly, I'm going to pat ourselves on the back because the double features we come up with on our show are insane. No one's picking out these type of double features. We're the kings of double features. Screams from the Basement, kings of double features. New tagline for the show.
It's true. I can't remember what episode. It's a recent episode where we did a double feature. And it was the I Madman. What did we pair with I Madman?
Oh, you're throwing me on the spot. We just did that. Oh,
we just did it.
Keep talking.
Cellar Dweller.
Okay. Cellar Dweller. Yeah.
That's right.
I was like, what other book movie where a character from a book comes alive did we do?
Yeah, and we when we did that one, I remember looking at prior reviews I had, I think for I Madman and both like Cellar Dweller and I Madman in previous Letterboxd reviews. I had remarked these would go really well together. And here we are with another just like I don't know. We didn't plan this one. It just worked out.
Yeah, this one just worked out. Like we've talked about many times, we do have a spreadsheet talking about all the episodes we would like to do. I think we have like 100 double features listed on there. Mm-hmm. And they all have some sort of theme to them. And this is one that we always had. Night of the Comet has always been a movie that you especially have been like, we need to do an episode on that. I know we did a Kelli Maroney episode almost almost 2 years ago now, like very early on in the show.
Yep.
And we talked briefly about Night of the Comet there, but we're going to go full board into that movie. Sam, are you ready to dive into Night of the Comet?
Yeah, I have so many notes that it's probably we're not going to be able to cover all of them.
Do you just want to have fun?
I just want to have fun.
Because
I just want to.
Us girls just want to have fun.
Girls just want to have fun. Fun.
And we're going to have fun because we're talking Night of the Comet, 1984, written, directed by Tom Eberhardt, who has not done much. I don't recognize the name from much else. This is really his claim to fame here with Night of the Comet. But the movie is about two Valley girls, Regina and Samantha, sisters, who survive a comet passing over the greater Los Angeles area, turning everyone either to dust, like orange dust, or into zombies, as comets do. The two girls must survive the apocalypse without their biggest resource, which is boys.
Yep.
Night of the Comet, 1984. Stars Catherine Mary Stewart and the great Kelli Maroney.
Yep. Oh man. So Casey, I feel like both of us came to this movie at around a similar time. Like I think I watched it first and I like way hyped it, and then you watched it and you slapped it with a rating I disagree with. But
spoilers, it's at that same ratings.
Yeah, I know it is. I saw the second
movie.
Letterboxd review. I know you like it. I
like this movie.
I don't know. I can't abide by
it. We both probably came to it about the same time. I think it was off the Chopping Mall hype for both of us of, oh, Chopping Mall is awesome. Oh, here's this other 80s movie also starring Kelli Maroney. And it's a sci-fi movie, and a bunch of people, I mean, there was a brief time where I think people were really talking about this movie, especially with the cult status that it now has.
I remember it kind of got a bump when Host came out, when the Zoom horror flick Host came out. And it's because the producer, Jed Shepard, he went on like a big podcast, a big horror podcast, and basically just like gushed about Night of the Comet being one of his favorite movies ever. And for a while, like on horror Twitter, like a big thing was him like saying like, while I have all this attention, everybody should go check out Night of the Comet. And that's actually what pushed me to find it. Because for a while this wasn't streaming anywhere. And now it's at least streaming on some like ad-supported sites, but there was a while where you could not find this online, and it didn't have a shitty YouTube rip or anything, but it did have a Scream Factory Blu-ray, and I'm not even sure if that's in print still, but I have a copy of it, and I love it, and that's what I watched it on, and I adore this movie, and I'm glad that it's getting a resurgence.
You didn't watch it on your VHS tape.
I did not. The VHS tape is.
You got to show it off. You got to show it off. We got to have the Night of the Comet VHS tape.
My VHS tape, literally signed by Kelli.
Yeah.
Shout out to Halloween-a-Palooza.
Where you bought you bought the tape there too, right? And then you had her sign it. Yeah.
I bought the tape and then I walked it over to her booth and had her sign it. Yeah. Probably paid more than. No, it wasn't more than the tape was worth. It was worth anything. I was like Arnie seeing Christine. I was like, how much do you want for it? Whatever it is, it's not enough.
Yeah, I don't think it was that much. Like,
no, it was like 20, I think it was like $20. Yeah, maybe 30. So,
yeah.
And now it's signed by Kelli Maroney. So,
Sam, Night of the Comet. Yeah. Let's start off with this movie right away. There is this giant midnight comet coming over Los Angeles, and people are like throwing parties. People are having comet watching parties. The theater is showing like, what is the theater showing?
I can't remember. I didn't look at the theater marquee, actually.
I think the theater marquee just says Midnight's Comet Show Party. Are they showing like a broadcast of it on the screen?
But the theater's like closed is the thing. That's like a whole plot point.
Or maybe they're just serving popcorn?
Maybe.
Because like the lobby's open, because that's where Catherine Mary Stewart, who plays Regina Reg in this movie.
No,
where
because she is asked to walk a theater, so they are screening something.
They're showing something, yeah, because the projectionist boyfriend is he's playing something. We got to talk about that guy.
He's such a dick. I hate him.
Dude, okay. Let's get into it, because that's where the movie starts. This dude does not deserve Catherine Mary Stewart.
No, he's such a fucking asshole.
He's an asshole, and he's not very good looking. Like, they couldn't have got like some 80s hunk to play this guy.
Come on. Get someone with a jawline.
Yeah. Where's a young Brad Pitt for this? Like, that's the type of guy that needs to play this role. And just some like dweebus looking dude in the projection room. He looks like an actual projectionist.
We have some friends that work at theaters that might take umbrage with that, Casey.
Hey, Sam, spoilers. We look like projectionists. Like,
we do. We look like projectionists.
We look like that guy, and we
have faces for radio. That's why we're podcasters.
Sorry for all the people watching us on the YouTube.
On YouTube.
That's your fault. But Catherine Mary Stewart, Reg, is like her claim to fame at the theater is one, banging the ugly projectionist. Two, she has like the high score in this, like,
not just the high score,
type score,
the entire top 10.
Okay, we got to talk about this. Except there's the number 6 spot on there, which is taken over by DMK.
Yep,
we'll talk more about that character later.
Yes, I love that we can even say that character later.
That character with this throwaway thing where she's really good at this one video game. So this character, she has like the entire top 10 score is all Reg, except for the number 6 spot. And she plays the game one more time and replaces that number 6 spot. That's not how games work.
Oh, no. I think we're meant to insinuate that she's been playing for a while.
She's been playing multiple games and has beat it now at least 4 more times.
Yeah,
5 more
times. That's what I think we're in. Like, I think we're intended to believe that she has spent all morning after sleeping over at the theater with this douchebag projectionist. She's waiting for him to get back from trying to get a film that he like rented out to someone who hadn't paid him yet. I'm like, well, this is on you, dude.
Yeah, what a weird plot line.
It's just to have them stay the night because they have to be there for when the guy gets there so that no one knows he lent out this thing.
It could just be that they're spending the night in the projection room because she doesn't want to go home because her stepmom's a terrible person. Like, that's all you need.
Doris sucks.
Yeah, she's the worst. She's banging the neighbor.
Chuck.
You
already have an asshole, Doris. You don't need Chuck. Kelli Maroney's so fucking funny in this movie.
She is playing like a 40-year-old woman, but like in a high schooler's body with a cheerleader's outfit. It's so funny.
She's so sarcastic though, and she's such a brat, but she's like, I don't know. I love it. I love her character in this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so Sam is Kelli, not you, Sam. Sam, the character, is Kelli Maroney in this. She's the high school cheerleader. She's the typical Valley girl, but also doesn't take shit from anyone and super sarcastic and sassy.
Yeah, and she calls out her stepmom for like having a very open affair while her dad is overseas in the military. They get into an argument and it ends up in a slap fight where Doris slaps Kelli and Kelli just slaps her right back, and then Doris like literally right hooks her in the face and sends her like flailing over the couch and into the wall. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah, this 40-year-old woman just punches a 16-year-old in the face in her house during a party and no one bats an eye.
No one. It's insane.
And so during this night, the setup for this movie is very quick. Like, we jump into the Comet showing up right away. And I think maybe that's one of the things I wish we spent a little more on that night.
Oh no.
I just a little bit, maybe 5, 10 more minutes. That's all I'm asking. A little bit more with that night. Um, but anyway, like the movie sets up right away. Like the comet goes overhead. The girls both survive
Yeah.
because
They were both in steel
in steel
structures.
structures.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where Reg was in the steel structure of the projectionist room, and
Yep.
then Kelly Maroney slept in a shed.
Slept in some lawn shed because she ran away. I love I love her little, like she's so, like, nonchalant about everything the next morning, like, she has no idea what's going on, and she's like Reg is trying to tell her everybody's gone, and she's asking for milk, like, just like she's not saying anything. I the that whole, like I don't know, I kinda like that we jump right into the comic because to me, like, the funny part of this movie is basically just like a Twilight Zone episode stretched out to feature length and told through a very Valley Girl filter. And, like, that's what you're getting for 90 minutes. If that doesn't sound appealing to you, like, this movie is not gonna be for you at all. And so I kinda like that the inciting incident just happens, and it's just about, like, well, what are teenagers gonna do if they wake up one day and, like, the world is over?
Yeah,
And I think
yeah, and
it builds the most
that's
into that premise.
that's the best part of this movie is the second. Well, even most of the first act is though just them two trying to figure out what's going on. But
Yeah.
really, that first and second act for me are the best part of this movie because it is that premise of Valley Girls surviving the apocalypse of what
Yeah.
would they do?
Yep.
And so they go and try to figure out what's going on. They're driving around Los Angeles, and we got to talk about Los Angeles in this movie because everyone
Mhm.
disappears. You either get turned into like orange dust or you slowly start to become a zombie.
Yeah. Or not so slowly, like the
Yeah.
homeless man in the alley is, like, zombified right away.
And why do some
Um,
people become zombies and some people just turn to dust?
so, like, I think it's the people that were directly exposed turn to dust, but anyone who was, like, maybe indoors or, like, not watching the comet, like, maybe, like, in some place that was sheltered, not necessarily with steel, but just, like, I don't know, if you're sitting
In their
inside
house or
watching the
whatever.
news, yeah, like, you get turned into a zombie. And if that's the case, like, people
All of
must have been
Los An
crazy about comets
Yeah, all
in
of Los Angeles was outside watching the
yeah,
comet then.
yeah, it's kinda funny. There are very few zombies in this movie, actually, but I do love that they're in there just because it's like, I don't know,
Yeah,
the first time you see the zombie, it kinda gets you, like,
yeah.
especially if you're just not especially if you're not expecting it, um,
Well,
and
it's
I
like
kinda
what else would this movie be if there wasn't zombies? It would just be the girls
well,
hanging out.
yeah.
Yeah,
You have to have some kind of threat. Maybe not in an actual Twilight Zone episode, like, it could literally just be, like, them grappling with the fact that they're the only 2 alone, but, like, in a 90-minute movie, that doesn't play
yeah.
super well, you know? Like, you
Yeah,
have to have some sort of external threat or
and
something that's, like,
it
pressuring them.
and again, not to nitpick, like, everyone in Los Angeles was outside at this time, and they just disappeared and turned to dust, and all of a sudden their cars are just gone because all the streets of LA are abandoned. Whatever. Because the visual of that is so cool. Like, the
So good.
visual of, like, the orange skyline of Los Angeles, there are no cars on the road, it's just completely abandoned.
Yep.
It's such a great visual and sets up this world almost in an instant with those visuals.
The first shot where you just see the, like, pile of clothes and the pair of high heels halfway through the crosswalk just silhouetted against the orange, like, sky. Oh my god, that whole montage of just shots of the desolate city and the stuff that was left behind is incredible, like, yeah, yeah, so good. I have read that in a certain shot of the scene because they shot this, like, really early in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
before, like, the city had woken up, but I have heard you can see a window washer moving in, like, a certain take, and I've never been able to find it.
Oh, there's also another. So speaking of trivia stuff like this,
Okay.
have you caught this? Apparently, in one of the party scenes during one of the Comet parties, a young LL Cool J is a DJ at one of those parties.
No fucking way.
That's what IMDb said. I couldn't find any stills of it. I didn't go back and watch the movie to
Oh,
see that,
well,
but
spoiler
apparently.
alert, I rated this 5 stars, and I realized it had been 2 years since I'd watched it in full, when I look back at my letterbox, so I'm probably gonna be obsessed with this movie for a couple of months now.
So
So,
let me know if you find LL Cool
I
J in one of
will.
those
I
party scenes
will.
in the beginning. So the girls go out, and I mean, I think they do one of the most logical things you can do in this situation. They find out that the radio is still working and that there's still a DJ on air. So they decide to go to this radio station.
Which is, like, smart, but also, like, a very especially, like, 80s teenage thing to do. I love that their first thought is, like, not to check, like, a police scanner or anything like that. It's like, well, the pop
They have a
radio
radio, I
DJ
mean.
is there, you
Yeah.
know? And I don't know, I love that because it is smart, and it's like but it's also just the logical thing that a teenager would have, you know?
Yeah.
And I just yeah, I dig that.
This is where we meet Hector, who is this guy coming in from town who spent the night with this lady before she turned into a zombie, and he is basically the only guy left in Los Angeles, at least for the time being.
Yep.
What do you think about Hector? I have
Okay, so
thoughts about Hector.
here's the thing. I love this movie. I think it's perfect cinema, no notes, but good God, Hector is a nothing burger character and I don't like him. And it's nothing to do with the actor. It's just how he's written. It's like he is the most boring fucking like the dude shows up, like clearly realizes that there are two teenage girls and they are not zombies
Yeah, they're
because they're having a
speaking to him.
full fucking conversation to each other. And he still like comes out with his gun out and he's like, "Oh, get out into the light" to Kelli Maroney and all this. And I'm just like, Hector needs to chill the fuck out. Like, I don't understand the attraction to that Catherine Mary Stewart has to him. Like, he's a perfectly fine looking gentleman. If he was the last person on earth, I totally would. But
Sam,
like,
we've already established it's not about the looks for her.
but he has no personality either is the problem. Like, there's nothing. What is
She's
Hector? Who
she's
is
moving up.
Hector?
She's moving up from the projectionist, who is an asshole, to a nothing burger with Hector.
You know what? I will say this. Hector is at least a step up from the projectionist. And that's saying something because Hector literally starts the relationship by having a gun drawn on him. So
Yeah. The only thing I wrote about Hector is so there's a scene where he goes so a little while later he goes back to like his mom's house to see where they are. I completely forgot about that scene even happening.
I did too, and I'm not gonna lie, if I hadn't put it in my notes, even though I literally watched this right before we hopped on, I could not tell you a single thing from this fucking scene. Like,
Yeah.
legitimately. I
There's like
can't
a
even
zombie
remember what
kid that
happens.
chases after him.
Yeah, and he, like, locks him in a closet, like, he doesn't
Yeah.
shoot the kid, which I get. Isn't this one, like, a PG-13?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
Has to
it's
be.
gotta be. It's gotta be because it's
I
not
actually think
exploitation.
both of these movies are.
Yeah, we'll talk about that with, Trancers because that surprised me a little bit. Yeah, this one's PG-13 too.
Yeah. So the only notes I wrote about Hector was that scene, just so I remembered it. And then in the
Yeah,
third act, he shows up in like this cowboy outfit to like save the day. And
and
my
he's putting
only
on a terrible
yeah,
cowboy accent.
and my only note I wrote down was Hector has no riz because he
Yeah,
doesn't.
it's really
Zero. He rates 0 on the riz scale. Like nothing. He's a big old nothing burger. He's not needed for this movie
no.
at all. He is
Like,
a pointless character.
you could literally write fixes around his character and make this movie entirely without Hector, and it wouldn't change all that much.
It
Like,
really wouldn't change at all.
like Catherine Mary Stewart would be a single mom at the end then, like, oh, big whoop.
It would have been like two girls like taking care of the kids. Like,
Wouldn't that have been the better, more progressive ending? I
yeah,
get that it was kind of a send up of like traditional like family values, but like, come on. Come
whatever.
on. Give
Sam
us
then
sister wives raising adopted children together.
yeah. Sam puts out a call on the radio station asking for all the teenage mutant comet zombies out there in the
Yes.
world to come to the radio station if they're still alive,
Yeah. I
which
love
apparently
this part.
which is the original title for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
The part that drove me nuts this time is right here when Kelli Maroney has two dream sequences.
You don't like this sequence?
The sequences are cool. They should just be in the movie. I don't like dream sequences to begin with. They're
I
cop
mean,
outs.
I get that, but like,
and to do two of them back to back that are like more interesting than what's actually going on in the movie, and to not have them actually be part of the movie drives me insane.
yeah,
Because
but that's why they're there though.
I understand that. Then just write that into the movie. They don't have to just sit at the radio station. Write it into the movie.
Here's the thing though. I don't care because the image of Kelli Maroney booze cruising in a what seems like a fucking wedding dress.
Yeah.
Like,
Prom dress.
I mean, yeah, it's a prom dress, but it's like all white and frilly, and I'm like, is she married to Hector in the stream subconsciously? She's all upset at first. I don't get how these two are fighting over this guy. I really don't. He pulled a gun on you.
Like I said in the plot synopsis, they're without their biggest resource.
Yes.
Boys.
So here's the thing too, is Hector's kind of an asshole after the gun thing because he goes and he's like knocking on the door and Catherine Mary Stewart's in the other room and he's like, you're gonna have to come out eventually and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'm sorry in a way that tells me he's not sorry. And then tells her she has an attitude problem. I'm like, you pulled a gun on two teenage girls, dude. You're like 40. Ugh.
Yeah. Hector sucks. Has zero res. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
But those dream sequences, they're cool. I like them. I wish they were actually part of the movie, though.
That's fair.
What's happening.
I love both of them, and I'm glad they're there.
We get the great line of Daddy would have gotten us Uzis when they're practicing while shooting a car in the streets of Los Angeles.
So that was an ad lib by Kelli. But here's the thing on this watch. Like, that line always gets a laugh out of me. But this time when she walks away, I guess I've never even really given this much thought, but like Catherine Mary Stewart has a really good response to this line, which is, the car didn't know the difference. Like, and I'm like, I mean, yes, the daddy would have gotten us Uzi's line is iconic and for good reason, but I'm like, that had to have been an ad lib too on her part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just a perfectly played scene. Like, these two have incredible chemistry. And Catherine Mary Stewart is just
these two together are incredible. My favorite scene is coming up next with these two. It's when what would teenage girls do in the 80s during the apocalypse? They'd go to the mall.
Yep.
Heck, I mean, the military and a newscaster from Dawn of the Dead went to the mall too during the apocalypse. So obviously people would go to the mall during the end of the world. And they had this great montage to Girls Just Want to Have Fun. A cover of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I need to make sure.
Yeah, but
still, we get the point. It's a low budget movie, couldn't afford Cyndi Lauper in 1984. Understandable. Understandable. They at least got that song in there. I think it was a very necessary song to have during that sequence. I wanted more of this, though. This is my favorite part of the movie. The girls in the mall, again, having fun. I just want more of the girls in the mall. I wish this was Dawn of the Dead. That's what I wish this movie was. It's just Night of the Comet, except instead of Ken Foray, It's Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelli Maroney.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't really get that here because yeah. It's more of a montage than anything, but it's a really fun
It's
montage,
really fun.
and it's followed up with a pretty bitchin' action scene. Like, the shootout in the mall is a ton of fun.
So these guys are a ton of fun. They're so weird and so
Yeah.
crazy. It's like these gang of guys. They all look
Hey,
like Max. They
hey,
all look like Max Headroom.
he's not crazy. He just doesn't give a fuck.
He just doesn't give a fuck. They all look like Max Headroom. They're all like turning into zombies. I love this like in between that they're in. And again, these guys should have been the main antagonists of this movie. This gang.
Yeah, but I like the science stuff at the end too. It's so weird and cool.
We'll talk about the third act, Sam. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, I love it.
Talk about it.
I love the third act.
There's a reason we haven't brought in the researchers yet at all, because talk about nothing burgers.
No.
They didn't
Okay.
even have meat on those nothing burgers.
Okay. Hold on. We're gonna get into this real quick.
Okay.
Because there's one scientist that you cannot deny has fucking immaculate screen presence and a wonderful arc, and that is Mary Woronov.
I like her.
She's so
As an
goddamn
actress.
good in this movie. She's so good in this movie.
She's fine in this movie. I like her as an actress a lot. I think she's fine in this movie. It's just because everything around the researchers, I'm like, what even is this? She has this character arc and it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's very weird. And it's just thrown in right before the third act. I don't know. It's very weird. It's a weird character.
Weird, but it's great.
Not saying it's a bad. It's just very out of place, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I like movies that just kind of throw everything in the gumbo, you know?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah.
So these researchers do come in here. Again, it's funny that they're like, okay, where are we going to find these teenage girls? They weren't at the radio station. Well, at the mall.
Where's the other place? Yeah.
Yeah, the mall. Yeah. And that's funny. And so they save these girls, except for some reason, they only want Catherine Mary Stewart. And they don't want Kelli Maroney.
It's because of the rash. They don't think that Kelli Maroney is actually like they think that she has caught the virus, essentially.
And
so they only need the blood of the people that don't have the virus, I believe.
What's their goal?
To find a cure for themselves, but they're all deteriorating.
So they knew about this comet already?
Yeah. They say that so in the like Rod Sterling opening with the narration, they were like, some people believe, or like they were talking about how the last time this comet came through was the same
millions of years
time
ago.
that the dinosaurs disappeared, right? And they were like, some people took that as just coincidence, but others knew better. And it shows them like getting into this bunker that wasn't made of steel, I guess. I don't know. It was funny. It's good. It's good. I like it. It's a big dumb sci-fi movie. It's a little dumb sci-fi movie. And I don't know. This shit is just right up my alley. I'm just like, yeah, of course there are scientists that are like, oh my God, we didn't overreact enough and now we're dying and we have to like milk the blood out of these teenage girls. Like that's insane.
It is. It's an insane plot. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that's okay though for this kind of movie. Like it probably doesn't need all this stuff I'm asking it to do. Like it's a fun 80s sci-fi movie. So they also capture here's where we get some more Christmas stuff. Again, this takes place during Christmas season.
And it's actually like it's even more Christmas than I remembered it.
Yeah.
Like,
Hector shows up in a Santa suit back at the radio station. He has a present for the girls.
And Mary Woronov has her final scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I love this scene. I think this scene is just I think Mary Woronov is show stopping in this exchange with Hector. Like I don't know. Just blows my mind. It's so good. So good. She, like, explains everything to him. She tells him, like, "I didn't really kill Kelly Maroney." Also, Kelly Maroney's hilarious when they're, like, quote, unquote, "putting her down." Like, I can't I forgot to write down her, like, the, like, last thing she says before she falls into sleep, but it's pretty funny, and it always cracks me up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's like something
Yeah,
about I think it's something about Hector or just boys in
I
general or
think it's
something.
something about boys. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we could have used some teenage boys in this. Like, I know we get a teenage boy at the end of this, but we could have used some sprinkled in
Yeah.
here, and maybe they betray these girls. I don't know. We need Sam. We should remake Night of the Comet.
I have ideas for a Night of the Comet remake. I would this is like one of
Does
those
it take the
movies that
researchers out completely? Because
no.
oh,
No, you still need the researchers.
you don't
It's
need them.
what are you
Telling
gonna
you,
have in place of the researchers?
the Max Headroom guys.
Those
The
guys are dweebs and they're gonna turn into zombies and melt anyways.
exactly. That's fine. We gotta have the girls kill them. They need to take
They
over the
don't
mall. If the
gotta, they
mall
just
is
gotta
theirs.
lock them in a room and wait 12 hours. That's a boring fucking villain. I guess
Well,
they could
and
have done the same with the scientists, but still.
that's why you introduce other teenage boys who then betray the girls and join the Max Headroom guys.
Oh, so we're gonna make an all men suck movie? I'm down.
Yeah, including Hector. We're gonna
Including
make sure one of
Hector.
them's named Hector.
Named Hector.
Okay. So Hector then brings Kelly Maroney with him to this facility, gets a cowboy costume from the mall, I assume. I
Yeah.
don't know why he's just switching costumes like a madman in this movie. Should have kept the Santa costume. I think that would have thrown off the guard maybe a little more than a cowboy costume. Like, he wasn't
Yeah.
fooling anyone with that.
No. Not in his, like, muscle car. He's, like,
Yeah,
got a muscle car convertible and a cowboy hat. It makes
and a
no sense.
terrible Texas accent.
Yeah, it's not even a yeah.
Yeah. Sam, what happens in this third act?
Okay, so the third
All I
act
wrote down was researchers blow up.
I
That's
love
all I
that
wrote down.
scene, it's so good. Okay, so there are, like, 2 kids that get introduced, and the nurses have a really fucking funny exchange where they're, like, getting ready to go into the room, and one of them makes the comment, like, "I just love working with children," and they're literally going in to put them down,
Yeah,
like, which is insane. Um, they're,
they're not putting them down. They're just turning off their brain function.
yeah, yeah. Um, there's one line reading in this that I just love, and it's when they're telling the kids, like, they're telling the little girl, You're gonna breathe this in, and you get to go to the North Pole and see Santa." And the boy, like, leans over and goes, "There's no such thing as Santa." And before it cuts to the guard, you just hear, "What?" And then it cuts over to this, like, random guard that you didn't even know is in the scene, and he goes, "You don't believe in Santa?" And then just moves on to a different scene.
Christmas.
It's the best thing ever.
Christmas.
It makes me laugh so fucking hard every time I watch this movie. Yeah, that guard just cracks me the fuck up.
I did laugh
Um,
at that. That was yeah. His line delivery is again. There's so much weird line delivery. Like the main guy
yeah,
with the gang in the mall, like
yeah,
talks like in a robotic voice.
yeah.
Like
"I'm sorry, I can't have you holding one of my men hostage."
it's so strange.
Yeah. I love
It's
how
fun.
weird this movie is.
Very weird.
Um, then, like, Catherine Mary Stewart comes in. She's like, "You're not gonna kill these kids," and she takes the kids, and, like, Sam shows up, and the next time you see the nurses, they're strapped down to the table with the nitrous oxide, like, going full blast, and they're just, like, laughing their heads off, and I wrote in my notes, "Nitrous oxide, dot, 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 wouldn't be a bad way to go." Like, I feel like that's kind of a fun
What does the sign say right above one of their heads? It's like going to visit the North Pole
yeah,
or something
going
like
to
that.
visit Santa or
Yeah.
something. So yeah, they get out of the thing, and like Hector's there and he's waiting for him, and oh yeah, Sam comes in, and there's a really funny exchange where Catherine Mary Stewart, they've told her that Sam is dead, and she goes, "They told me you were dead." And Kelly Maroney just goes, "They were exaggerating totally." uh and then yeah, they get outside, and it's already set up that I keep wanting to call him Bob, even though I know his name is Hector, and it's because he reminds me of the intentionally bland protagonist, like male love interest in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Yeah, he has Bob energy. That's
He
for
has
sure.
Bob energy, doesn't he?
Yep. Yeah. He is not a Hector. He is a Bob.
Yeah, he's a Bob.
He's a Bob.
So,
He
so
doesn't
yeah.
do anything. Why is he in this movie?
Well, yeah, like literally, it's so funny. They all get in the car and he goes to drive away, and he's like, wait, hold on. And he stops the car within shooting range because they're debating whether or not to open fire on the car, just so all the scientists will get into the car because he's rigged it with dynamite.
Yeah.
And the best part of this is the guy who's driving doesn't even turn the key. He goes, "Do you smell gas?" And he turns to the passenger, and the passenger comes out of the dark, like the shadow, and he's a zombie. And he reaches over and turns the key and blows them all up. And it's so stupid, and I love it. Yeah, and then they drive away. They all have a good laugh about sending 6 people to their fiery deaths, and then
Yep.
they drive away, and they become a normal family in Los Angeles who does not cross against the light because the burden of civilization is on them. And then you meet DMK,
And then you meet DMK, Danny Masterson Keener.
who I'm blanking on the actor's name, but he also is um, one of Dennis's jock friends in the seminal 1983 film Christine.
Oh.
Yeah. He's the one that says, "Don't tip over the table, Gilder," and lifts the table up like Dennis has a boner in the study hall scene.
Night of the Comet, 19.
Night of the Comet.
The movie was released November 16th, 1984. Like Sam said, they were told to improvise if they could because this is a low budget movie and they couldn't afford too many retakes.
Yep.
So that's how you get some of the iconic lines in this movie.
You had to react in character if anyone went off script.
Yep. Mary Warnoff apparently wrote most of the dialogue in that scene that you love so much, in that radio scene. She wrote a lot of that dialogue.
That makes sense because she is like dialed into that.
This was an inspiration for Joss Whedon to write Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I can see a lot of Buffy in this movie.
Yes. Fuck Joss Whedon, but I can totally see that.
Fuck Joss Whedon, but Buffy still rules.
But Buffy fucking rules, yeah.
Buffy still rules. And Sam, maybe you can talk a little bit more about this one. Kelly Maroney did get that original cheerleader costume back from this movie.
She did 100%. Yeah, that whole story. I know when we asked her at that panel, she said, "Oh, I tell this story all the time." And I was like, "Oh, well," but it's fascinating to hear her talk about it because like it just, I don't know, she lent it to a friend for storage who basically had like an agreement with her that it was not going to be a sale item and that she was going to get it back. And then he ended up like, I don't know, she didn't get too into it, but basically he ended up selling it, and she got outbid and lost it, but then contacted the buyer and was able to work something out with a little help from a GoFundMe, which was, yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that's a thing that fans don't always realize is that, we associate Kelly Maroney's Sam character with that cheerleader outfit. That doesn't mean that they own that.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not Kelly Maroney's outfit.
Right.
And I think that's something we often forget when people ask, like, "Oh, do you still have that?" It's like they probably didn't have it to begin with. But
Mhm.
to see like fans coming together for stuff like that and making sure, I mean,
Yeah.
in our eyes, the rightful owner of that is Kelly. Like no one else should have that.
Like, chances are your average Marvel actor does not have one of their, like, Marvel suits, just,
Chris
like,
Evans
in the
probably does not have a Captain America suit in his
no,
closet.
most likely not.
Yeah. Even though
If
he
he
should.
did, I'd
Again,
be surprised, yeah.
like I think he should have one of those costumes at his house and it's just his,
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
anyway, Night of the Comet 1984. Final thoughts. I'll go first because you're gonna be you'll be a lot. I'm not gonna be negative, but
Yeah,
you love this movie. You love Night of the
I do.
Comet. I like this movie. I think it's a ton of fun. I do have problems with it, which I've talked about, but I don't think that takes away from my overall enjoyment of this movie. Like I think our two leads are incredible. I love the premise of two Valley girls stuck in the apocalypse. What do they do? I think the mall sequence, that entire run, is my favorite part of this movie. And like, this might be one of my favorite looks for an apocalypse. Just the overall look of orange haze Los Angeles with no one on the streets. Incredible, immaculate.
Yeah.
Sam, what about you? Final thoughts on Night of the Comet?
Yeah, I mean, this movie is just, like, it's one of those that I came to around the time of the pandemic, and I just remember, like, 2020 when I discovered this movie, I watched a lot of it. Like, it was just always on. Um, it's up there with Chopping Mall for me as, like, one of my favorite B movies ever. Um, I just I don't know. I think it might be my favorite apocalypse movie. I don't know. It's a very me apocalypse movie. It's an apocalypse movie that's not gonna bum you the fuck out. Uh,
Yeah.
and, yeah, there's just the women in this one are who steal it for me, and I love that. I love that it's very, like to me, the people that like, stand out in my mind are Catherine Mary Stewart, Kelly Maroney, and Mary Warnov. I just think all 3 of them are just firing on all cylinders. And also, if I had a nickel for every time that Kelly Maroney played an unassuming teenage girl with a dad in the military who all of a sudden could flip a switch and become a badass, I'd only have 2 nickels, but it's fucking cool that it happened twice.
Hey, I'll give you a nickel for every time she wears a cheerleader outfit.
That's quite a few more times, actually. She was always yeah, yeah,
You're
God,
gonna be rich. Gonna be
yeah.
rich.
Anyway, yeah, Night of the Comet, 5-star banger, I love it.
Night of the Comet. All right, Sam, let's get to our first ad read before we move on to the second film in our double feature. This first ad read, let me make sure I pull up our graphic, is from our friends at Fangoria. For over 40 years, Fangoria has been the leading source for all things horror. The famed magazine is back with a vengeance every quarter with new in-depth discussions on the best contemporary horror, science fiction, and macabre. You can use our affiliate link to save 20% on your annual subscription to the magazine, on back issues of the magazine, and on the latest Fango merch. Please visit shop.fangoria.com/screams from the basement. That's shop.fangoria.com/screams from the basement, or scan the QR code that appears on your screen right now if you're watching us on YouTube, and use promo code screams from the basement at checkout, again, to save 20%. Thanks to our friends at Fangoria for helping support the show.
Yeah.
All right, second movie, 1984, Christmas in 1984, double feature is Empire Pictures Trancers.
Yeah.
Trancers is directed by friend of the show. We should say that. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Charles Band, written by Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo. The movie stars Tim Thomerson as Jack Death. He is a badass trancer hunter from the future when a group of mind controlling beings, trancers are a group of mind controlling beings, mind controlled beings. Holy crap, can I speak? Jack soon finds himself back in the 1980s on the hunt for Trancer leader Whistler, who has a plot to kill the leaders of the futuristic world, and Jack has to go back in time to save the descendants of those leaders. That is Trancers from 1984.
A very,
Sam,
very yes.
I was just going to say, initial thoughts on Trancers is first time watch for you. First
Yeah.
exposure, I believe, to Tim Thomerson as well.
Yes, because I have not seen Doll Man yet either. But I will say, after this movie, I am 100% a fan of Tim Thomerson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked this movie a ton. Like this was so. When you hear Full Moon Empire, you expect a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I found this movie very, like, very restrained. It's PG-13, not something I'm used to from Charles Band. I think that's actually part of the charm of this one. It's so low budget, but so inventive. And I don't know, the more I've sat with it, the more I think I rated it on Letterboxd a half a star too low. And yeah, I actually really like Trancers quite a bit. It was different than what I expected. And very much a Christmas movie.
Very much a Christmas movie. One of the only Full Moon Empire movies to take place during Christmas. Some would argue the Ginger Dead Man. That movie does not take place during Christmas, though. So
Yeah.
that is, I don't think that counts.
No.
And I would rather have Tim Thomerson over Gary Busey any day.
Yes, 100%. Oh God.
So this movie is a who's who of like Empire Pictures people behind the scenes on this. So this is Charles Band has talked many times about this being his favorite movie that he has. It's the only movie that transferred over. Pun on transferred.
Transferred.
Transferred over from Empire Pictures to Full Moon. So when Empire Pictures went under in 1989, the only movie that Charlie was able to get the rights back then and bring over to Full Moon was Trancers, because it was his favorite movie that he has ever directed. It's probably the best movie Charles Band has ever directed himself. I think this movie is, it's setting out to do exactly what it ends up being.
Oh,
is
yeah.
That people would call this a Terminator knockoff. Not a Terminator knockoff. This came out like a month after Terminator or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, there are similarities, but that's just kind of where, like, 80s sci-fi noir was already kind of established by the time, like,
Blade Runner had already exist. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was, to me, it feels more Blade Runner than it does Terminator, even though I know they travel back in time to like the 80s. But that feels more of a budgetary, like a budgetary decision than a we're gonna rip off Terminator decision.
Yeah. So again, this has a who's who of Empire Pictures behind the scenes. You got John Carl Buechler doing the special makeup effects in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Nicolau is the editor on this.
Yep.
Who would go on to make the Subspecies series. Mac Ahlberg is the DP who shot just so many dozens and dozens of Empire and Full Moon movies. Peter Manoogian was the executive in charge of production, who would then go on to direct the first Puppet Master movie. And Charles' then wife, Deborah Dion, was associate producer on this, as she was with pretty much every Empire Pictures movie back in the day. So again, the entire fam is on this, the entire Empire family. So this movie opens it's in the future, in this futuristic diner.
Yeah.
And a great cold open to this movie. It's a tone setter, sets up exactly what we're in for. Tim Thomerson is Jack Death, has this giant scar over his eye. He has a great look. He has the duster on. Such a like no nonsense cop. Doesn't go by the law, plays by his own rules. A trancer killed his wife, and now he's out for vengeance.
This, if It's Always Sunny took place in this reality, Trancers would be Mac's favorite fucking movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Tim Thomerson is exactly who he looks at as far as like manly action heroes.
Oh, as one should, a
Yeah.
55,
Jack
60-year-old man.
Death.
Jack Death. What a name.
And spelled Deth. I
Yep.
love that.
Yep.
So good. Like, and I love that they turn the name into a running gag. Like, so many people call him out for it.
Why is your name Jack Death? Because it's badass.
Yeah.
Why do you wear a duster like that? Because it's badass.
There's like the punk at the end that he's talking to, and like he he tells him his name, and the kid goes like, "Your name is Jack Death? That's a dumb name." As they're like walking away.
It's not a dumb, it's badass.
I mean, it is. It's great. He pulls it off. Like, if you're gonna name a character Jack Death, I can't imagine a better person to pull it off than Tim Thomerson, because he's nailing it.
That's the reason this movie works, is because of Tim Thomerson, who is playing. I'm trying to describe, like, he's playing like this noir. He's kind of noir cowboy, almost like Tom Selleck like in a way.
Yeah.
Where he's like this.
He's like if Tom Selleck played Harrison Ford's role in Blade Runner.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's what you would get in this. And he's playing. I mean, Tim Thomerson's incredible in this. He's playing it perfectly. He knows exactly what kind of movie he's in. Yeah, it's the Tom Cruise thing of now, of like Tom Cruise is dating all these 20-year-olds when he's 50.
Yeah.
And no one ever acknowledges it or points it out.
Yeah.
And calls it creepy, where this movie calls it out of like, this is a 50-year-old dude dating a 20-year-old Helen Hunt in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they at least call it out.
Yeah.
So he's in this diner. He's in this futuristic diner. The old lady, the waitress at the diner, turns into a trancer like right away.
Yeah. There's no like, it just, you know what? Here's another point for this movie. It is the scientifically perfect runtime for a movie. Just like Chopping Mall. Just like, oh my God, what was it? Cellar Dweller that was 77?
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect fucking runtime. 77 minutes.
Tight 77 is what we're going to call it.
Yep. The tight 77. Yeah, it puts you right into it. Like, minute one, you're like, oh, there's a trancer already. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what they are. They're like zombie, mindless creatures that are controlled by this unknown guy at this time named Whistler.
Yeah. And
great villain name, by the way. Great villain name of Whistler.
100%.
Great.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Also, right away, his I wouldn't say his partner, but someone else on the force with him.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the actor that he's in. He's one of hey, there's that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember. I can't remember who it is.
That plays his partner. I wrote his partner's name down because McNulty. Again, great cop name, McNulty.
Yeah.
But basically Jack like says, I do things my own way. I don't go by the book. And he throws his badge down. And McNulty picks it up and is like, Trancer killed his wife. Now he's out for vengeance. Like basically just sets up entirely like what Jack Death's deal is.
Yeah. And that's like
some other cop.
That's such a great noir trope that just like always like, and it
works.
It's always pulled off with the same amount of just like, I'll say it, cheese. It's just so over dramatic and amazing. Like it's like the Roger Rabbit. He was a great PI, but his brother was killed by a tune.
It is. It's the exact same premise as Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, and it's so good. It's just I love that,
and it's with the same amount of sincerity as Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes, 100%. It's so good. McNulty, played by Art LaFleur, but later played by someone else that we'll definitely get to.
Oh yeah.
It's the best part of the whole movie.
Who one of his ancestors is?
Yes.
So Jack Death, we're expected some sort of amount of time has passed from the opening sequence to here, where Jack Death is swimming in the ocean, and we just see like the skyline of Los Angeles barely popping out of the ocean at this time, because in the futuristic world, basically like the oceans have like
Risen.
risen and gone inland.
Yeah. So
And
even in 84, we were worried about rising ocean levels.
yeah,
So much so that Charlie Band put it in one of his
yeah,
movies.
Charlie Band knew it was up in '84.
Yeah, he
And
did.
he's like swimming in the ocean, and he finds is it like it's like a Sunset Boulevard sign, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like he like goes down, he dives and finds artifacts.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool
And,
part of the story too.
and it's basically, it's again another trope of, hey, we need you back.
Yeah.
I've been out of the it's the Rambo thing of, I've been out of the
Yeah.
game for too long. But he's the only man for the job. He's the only one that can do it for some reason or another, because he doesn't play by the books. That's why. So basically, he's brought in front of the council, who's like the world leaders at the time. It's just these three people.
Yeah, it's
One of them,
very Bill and Ted.
very Bill and Ted. Again, played with the same amount of sincerity as Bill and Ted too. And basically, he has like he's given these two different like plot devices, gadgets. The sci-fi version of what's happening here is he has to travel back in time, and he'll end up in a ancestor's body who looks exactly like him minus the scar.
Yep.
And he'll end up back in his ancestor's body, and he has to go save the descendants of the world leaders, because they're going to get picked off by Whistler, who has also traveled back to 1984 as like
Yeah.
a member of the police department.
Yep. And
How does
one of the members have already been knocked off.
Yep,
So
one of
there's
the
only
three
two of
leaders.
them.
Yeah, so there's only two of them that they have to go back and save. And basically he agrees to do so. He's also given this watch, which is
Yeah.
like a total, again, like an Austin Powers thing of like, here's your gadget for this movie. And it's a watch that for every 1 second it's of real time, it's 10 seconds for him. So he gets like a
Yeah.
10-second advantage.
Yeah, he gets a 10-second second.
Yeah.
Which they definitely they stretch that 10 seconds
Yeah.
quite a bit in both sequences that
I
it's
like to
used.
believe he gets 10 seconds for every 1 second for 10 seconds.
That would make more sense.
If that makes sense. I
Yeah.
would like to believe it's that way, because it does, like what he does still is like a minute and a half. So
Yeah.
if they go by that logic, it works.
The first time it happened, I was sitting there like not literally looking at my watch, but definitely thinking more than 10 seconds have passed.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're stretching this.
Yeah.
Which, not a problem. Like I said, dumb sci-fi movies get to be dumb sci-fi movies. Like
Also, to know that he doesn't play by the books anymore, and he's not a cop anymore. He's just doing this because he's a good guy and the only man for the job. He shoots Whistler's body in the future, so he can't come back.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the council wants to bring Whistler back to the future and like punish him for his crimes, and he shoots Whistler's body. He's like,
No,
basically, it's the only way he's gonna die. Like,
yep.
I'm doing this my way. It's my way or the highway. He ends up back in 1984, dating Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Who again? We got to talk about Helen Hunt.
On the morning after like a random one night stand, it appears, because it doesn't seem like they've been dating for a while. It seems like they met the night before, doesn't it?
Yeah. So ends up
Strange.
with a young Helen Hunt, one of her first movies in this. I think
She's really
incredible.
good in it.
She's so good in this. Yeah,
she's really good.
Her and Tim Thomerson have incredible chemistry.
Yeah. You watch her in this and you're like, yeah, that's Helen Hunt. Like,
yeah, that's someone that's going to be a like movie star in a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good in this. She plays this like photographer at the mall. Again, talking about the mall during Christmas time, much like Night of the Comet. She plays this photographer at the mall that takes pictures of Santa Claus. And she knows something's off with him right away, because he starts acting weird, doesn't remember her name.
Yeah.
Doesn't know where he is, even though he's lived his entire life in Los Angeles, apparently. And
Yeah.
again, it's the fish out of water. Again, playing into the tropes of that, where he's in someone
Yeah.
else's body. I do like that it's straight up he's in Tim Thomerson's body, so we don't have to have like weird shenanigans of like him trying to figure out his new body and he doesn't look
Yeah.
like himself. It's no, he looks like himself, but he's in the
Yeah.
past.
He just has slightly less gray hair.
Slightly less gray hair and doesn't have a giant scar on his eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I pointed out here, two quotes coming up here. One of them first is when he's getting ready to go into Los Angeles, and basically he's going to go draw profit work, and then he's going to go find the other people that he has to save. And they, again, the sci-fi elements are very confusing of how they like send this box from the future that contain artifacts of like, okay, here's a picture of the person you need to go save, and one of them is a baseball player, an ex-baseball player who turns out to be a bum in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then the other person is just some guy that works at like a tanning salon.
Yeah. The tanning salon scene is cool.
It is. But before that, Tim Thomerson has to get ready. Can't be Jack Death wearing normal 80s clothes. No. He's got to put on the duster. He rocks the duster.
Yep.
And then he dumps a bunch of like hair product in his hair and slicks it back.
Yeah.
And says, "Dry hairs for squids."
Yep. Dry hairs for squids, which makes no sense because squids live in the ocean.
No. Squids are what he calls like the bad guys.
Oh, duh.
It's like a slang term in the future.
Yeah, that's right. I missed that. I'm not gonna lie. Thought like, what the fuck was that? Like,
yeah, I think he says, because she says it back to him later.
Yeah,
it's a slang term in the future.
Yeah.
Then we get to the mall. A great sequence, the most Christmassy part of this movie.
Yep.
You have the mall Santa getting ready. Turns out, get this, Santa's a trancer.
Yep. So Jack Death has to shoot Santa in front of a bunch of children.
Mrs. Claus has a great line during this. Says we've got trouble at the North Pole, on a little walkie-talkie to security when Jack Death starts fighting Santa Claus and punching him.
Oh God, so good.
And then basically he kills Santa. Santa's dead. Helen Hunt is like, okay, you got to tell me what the hell is going on, because that wasn't the same guy. Like that was actually Santa. Like something was up with him. You need to tell me what's going on. We're in this together. And basically the two of them are in it together. And she has this great line, this great back and forth with between Helen Hunt and Tim Thomerson, where she says, "Relax, Phil." And Tim Thomerson responds with, "Jack, Phil stepped out."
Yeah, that's right. Oh God,
Phil is the body he took over.
Yeah.
Jack, Phil stepped out.
Phil stepped out. Yeah. They you really just kind of brush over the fact that he's using another man's body. Like it's
Like I said,
but they do mention it a few times, like it's I don't know, it's kind of I don't know, it's so interesting. It reminded me, and not that this movie does it well at all, but it reminded me a little bit of Wonder Woman 84.
Oh,
Where like everybody was like up in arms about Chris Pine being in some guy's body and like Wonder Woman sleeping with some random guy's body.
yeah. But he looked different, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. People
Yeah,
got
he
weird
looked
about that
different, but
movie.
like I don't know, that movie's terrible.
It's not very good, no.
This movie reminds me a little bit of Face Off.
I still haven't seen
Face
Face Off.
Off. Yeah.
I know that it's not a horror movie, but I feel like we could do Face Off on this podcast.
Oh, we could find a way to do Face Off.
We should just do Face Off on this podcast because I'd love to watch it.
Fine, I'm done. We'll find some horror double feature to do it with, so we can at least tie it in.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Because they can switch faces.
They can take their faces off.
Yeah.
We then get the scene where we talked about where he gets the 10 seconds for every 1 second, and
Yep.
basically he saves Lena, who's Helen Hunt, saves her. There, I got to set up the scene a little better because there's so much that happens in this 10 seconds where Whistler shows up, finds them, and he and his men start shooting at Jack Death and Lena. And
Yep.
he uses his watch, like slows down time, pushes her out of the way of oncoming bullets, picks her up, runs past Whistler, puts her in the car, and gets back in on the other side within 10 seconds, apparently.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
says later, she's like, okay, you saved me. You had enough time to save me. Why didn't you kill him? I didn't have enough time. It was either save you or kill him. Like, dude, you had plenty of time.
I was about to say, it was like, it feels like you can control when this effect stops.
Yeah. You had plenty of time. You didn't have to put her in the car. You just had to get her out of the way of getting shot.
Yeah, no kidding. You could have put her down right behind him and y'all could have run.
Yeah, or like you pushed her out of the way so she doesn't get hit by a bullet when time turns normal, and
Yeah,
then you
and then
just
you
go
just
up
go
and
kill
shoot
and 5
Whistler.
all guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, Jack Death.
He had time to run a half a mile to his car, but not to decapitate 5 men.
Come on, we
I
should
don't
be
know
calling
why I
you
went straight to decapitation, but that was
call
yeah,
you Jack Life because you don't know how to cause
how to
death.
kill.
Yeah. They get this they have good chemistry together. Tim Thomerson and Helen Hunt do.
Yeah.
They end up back at her friend's apartment because no one knows where it is, and she's supposed to be house sitting there. Which their apartment is like right above an '80s like punk rock nightclub,
Yeah. I
and
love
then
the punk rock club scene.
it's so much fun.
I love how he has, like, a police scanner in his ear, but he's still, like, trying to, like,
Fit
dance
in
to the
and
punk
dance. Yeah,
music.
it seems like a cool party. It's like punk rockers singing Christmas carols.
Yeah, yeah, it's really fun. It's, um it's very '80s punk. Very '80s punk. I loved it. And they're weirdly accepting of a guy who definitely looks like a fucking cop.
Mm-hmm. I wrote down another great line from Jack Death here. He says during this sequence where he fights a couple guys, he says, "I'm going to sweep the floor with your head."
Yeah.
Where when Lena's one of her ex boyfriends shows up and he's a total dickhead, so
Yep,
Jack Death fights him,
yep, yep.
and then they end up back in her friend's apartment upstairs there, and his old partner shows up, McNulty. Sam, I'll let you take what happened to McNulty when he traveled from the future to the past.
Well, McNulty's ancestor that he traveled into is, like, an 8-year-old girl.
I had to sneak out of my bedroom for this.
She's so good, like, this kid is so fucking funny, and I can't tell, is she dubbed? Like,
I would assume so.
okay, because it feel like, I definitely think the voice coming out of this girl is older, but it's still, like it's still a young female
Yeah.
voice, and I don't know, I loved this scene. I was in stitches the entire time, uh, to the point where, like, Jack gets frustrated with his partner, so he literally just picks her up and carries her to the door and, like, tosses her
Mhm.
outside. Yeah, this scene was hilarious. I loved it. I loved it so much.
Perfect in perfect in tone of what the movie's going for, and
Yeah,
again, nice little bit of levity in there. Like,
yeah. 'Cause, like, it's playing everything earnestly, but it is like, it is trying to be funny. Like, the
yeah,
whole, like, over dramatic, uh, uh, a trancer killed his brother, you know, and he hasn't or a trancer killed his wife, and he hasn't been
yeah.
the same since, and it's like, it's doing these over the top things and playing them straight because it knows it's funny, you
Yeah.
know?
There's a sense
Yeah.
of earnestness to this entire to the entire movie.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
just
so basically McNulty comes back from the future and tells him, "Hey, you need to come back because you've already failed." He let one person die while he was hanging out with Lena, and it was just this like
is
dude.
the tanning bed guy,
Yeah, the dude from the tanning bed.
which, like, the I loved the set design of the tanning bed or the tanning booth, I guess,
Yeah.
that he traps Jack Death in, like, the way that shot is just it's at a very cool angle, and you've got, like, all the lights coming down, kinda, like, closing in on him. Yeah, I loved that sequence, actually, but, yeah, the guy that gets killed is, like, a nothing character, so I didn't realize it was important until, like, I
And to
realized, like, "Oh, shit, yeah, that
that
was
was
the ancestor."
yeah, the person he was supposed to be protecting. And again, I mean,
Yeah,
that character is just a plot device for
right.
basically to send him back to the future. He gets reset basically.
Yeah,
He gets another watch.
yeah.
He gets brought back, all while they bring him back to the future while he's about to have sex with Lena, and then wakes up the morning after and misses out on it. So you have to assume that Lena and Phil, the guy whose body he took over, they were getting it on, and Phil all of a sudden like returns consciousness to his body and is like, "Oh, we're having sex.
Well, I
Cool."
mean, his last memory probably was that. I wonder if he
Possibly.
just, like, woke up and he's like, "Oh, morning
No,
glory." I don't know.
he was in the bathroom the next morning, like the next morning. Well, I guess maybe his,
Oh,
but
yeah, I
still.
don't know. Weird. I mean,
Either way, he gained consciousness in the middle
of some
of
nookie,
having sex. Yeah, yeah.
as Fred Durst would put it.
What, getting some nookie?
Nookie.
Yep. Speaking of getting nookie, the morning after he gets nookie, he then teams up with Lena. Lena's basically like, "We're in this together. Like, you're not going out
Yeah.
there." He basically has confessed his feelings for her. Like, basically, this is the scene like where she's like, you saved me. You could have killed him."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And he tells her about a trancer killed his wife,
Yep.
and he doesn't want that to happen to her. And she's like, "You love me." And he's like, "That's what I said."
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he doesn't say it, but it's like, "I don't want that to happen to you. You love me. That's what I said."
So stupid, I love it.
And so the last person he has to save, he needs to make sure this person dies or doesn't die, because if this person dies, like basically the future is screwed because the final world leader will have been killed because their ancestor was killed. And this is Hap Ashby, who was an ex baseball player, and the only way he knows who he is because he's given this guy his baseball card. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened. Probably became an alcoholic because we see him drunk while
Yeah,
he's hanging
yeah.
out with
All of his bum friends.
all of his bum friends playing baseball together.
Did you recognize one of the hobos, though?
No.
Richard Erdman, who plays Leonard in Community, is one of the hobos outside at the trash can.
Really?
Yep, yep. I saw him and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's Leonard."
That they basically talk futuristic to?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's those guys. Yep.
Yeah.
He's one of them.
So basically they go and save Hap Ashby at the same time Whistler shows up. And so they
Yep.
have this like big shootout in this like warehouse where all the bums are hanging out. And then it turns into this like really cool motorcycle chase through Los Angeles where you have Tim Thomerson, you have Jack Death and Hap Ashby on one motorcycle, and then you got Lena on the other one, and they're getting chased down by Whistler's crew.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a ton of fun getting chased through the streets of Los Angeles. There's a part where Tim Thomerson is going down like a bunch of steps,
Yeah.
and it's like this crazy stunt of two stunt people on this motorcycle going down steps. It's insane.
Yeah. For as low budget as this is, this car chase is like it's fucking incredible. Like they pulled off something cool here.
Mm-hmm. It's a ton of fun. I think that's yeah, like this movie is super low budget, but like you would never know that really.
Yeah, like the budget isn't restrictive. Like it's not like, oh, it's low budget and like it's not a negative thing. It's like it's part of the charm is like you can just see the filmmaking there and I
Yeah.
love that. Like it's a very practically made movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
So here in the final sequence, basically when Jack tells Lena he loves her without telling her he loves her, he said he used his wife as bait one time to catch Whistler, and that's how she died from a trancer because he
Ooh,
used her as
yeah.
bait. And so what does he decide to do? He trusts Lena enough this time to do it again and uses her as bait to get Whistler. But now they have an ex-baseball player, Hap Ashby, on their side. And basically Whistler makes like Jack again decide, is he gonna save he does the full like Green Goblin thing. Like, are you
Yeah.
gonna save the girl or are you gonna kill me? Like throws her off the roof again, uses the clock to save her. He
Yep.
like glides off the building and like lands on the ground after like she's fallen from the roof of it and catches her.
Yep.
And he's about to get shot by Whistler when hero of the story Hap Ashby throws a like piece of garbage or something.
It's like a
Something
bottle, I
like
think,
a
right?
bottle, I think. Yeah. Like from the dumpster and
Yeah.
hits Whistler and knocks him off the building.
Oh, yeah. Too
Yeah.
good.
And so basically Whistler's like, well, you're a cop. So Whistler falls off the building. Tim Thomerson, Jack Death, has like his gun pointed at him and is like, all right, game over, Whistler. And Whistler's like, well, you got to take me back. The council's not going to let you kill me. And just shoots him anyway. And basically, like, would send, like, he shoots him with this thing that's supposed to send his body back to the future.
Yeah, but
But
his
his
body's not
body
there.
doesn't exist. So he's like in the ether, like even worse than death.
Yeah. Yeah. But the one he had 2 vials, one to send,
Both of them back.
both of them
Himself and
back, yeah, and one of them breaks, and he can't send himself back, which begs the question, like, why couldn't they just pull him back like they did the last time?
because his partner injected him with that.
Oh, that yeah, duh, yeah,
The
that
little
makes
girl, yeah,
that makes
McNulty,
sense.
as the little girl snuck into their apartment, and when they were about to,
Yeah, that's right, duh, yeah.
but also, like Whistler asks him the question of like, only one of us can go back. Which one are you going to send? Well, it's pretty obvious. Like, why would he go back to? Like, there's nothing there
Yeah,
for Jack Death in the future. Why would he go back? Like,
yeah, like Whistler, you overplayed your hand there.
yeah, you had nothing. You had nothing, sir. Dude's got Helen Hunt and can hang out in 80s LA. Like, why would he not stay?
Yeah, didn't you see him having fun at that punk rock club?
Yeah, at the punk rock club, and then got some with Helen Hunt afterwards. Like, of course he's gonna stay. Yeah, and basically that's how the movie ends. Him and Helen Hunt and end up together, and then 5 more sequels to Trancers happens afterwards.
5?
5.
I thought it was a trilogy.
No.
Holy shit. Well, that makes me excited.
I think Tim
really
Thomerson might be only in 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me excited. I wanna go and watch the sequels to this
I
one.
have never
I
seen the
enjoyed it.
sequels. I'm excited to watch them.
Ooh. Well, sometime we should do, like, a Trancers 2 and 3
We're gonna do Trancers 2 and
episode.
3 and Face Off together. I don't know.
Triple feature.
Yeah. So again, this movie was released in 1984. Let's see. The only piece of trivia I have on this, and this is the one that I said is going to blow your mind. I told you this when we were kind of talking about these. I had a couple pieces of trivia that I thought would blow your mind for both of these movies. For Night of the Comet, it was LL Cool J apparently is in that movie.
Yeah, that did blow my mind.
And so this one's going to blow your mind. This one's a music video that's based on that opening sequence in the diner. There's a music video that the band The Neighborhood did. for their song called "Scary Love," which is it's a pretty banging song. I looked up this music
Okay.
video afterwards. I suggest you and everybody else do so too, because again, it plays homage to that opening sequence.
Is it
But
better than the "Wherever You Will Go" song?
but guess who? That's not the crazy thing.
Okay.
Guess who plays the Jack Death type character in this music video?
Who?
Tommy Wiseau.
What?
Mind blown.
Yep. Nope, definitely gonna like that is
Tommy
an all
Wiseau rocks up in his shades, his long black hair in the Jack Death duster,
okay.
and it's the exact same scene of like the diner lady coming up and attacking him when he shoots her. It's
I wanna
incredible.
I wanna retroactively strike my "Wherever You May Go" slander from the record.
And the song is a banger. The song's a banger
Okay,
too.
I'm definitely checking this out. This has to be one of the greatest music videos of all time.
The Neighborhood Scary Love is the music
Okay.
video everybody needs to
Neighborhood
look up at.
Scary Love.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's incredible. Know what else is incredible? Trancers. I love this movie. Sam, what are your final thoughts on Trancers?
My final thoughts on Trancers, and I'm also realizing now that I totally missed the band. I
The
was
Neighborhood.
thinking of the wrong band. Yeah, The Neighborhood. They're the ones that do yeah, never mind. Sweater Weather. That song I don't
Cut that.
strike any
Cut that.
slander
Cut
of
that.
that song. Yeah. Sweater Weather sucks.
I don't even know what you're
Anyways,
talking about right now. But
I guess I don't either.
Trancers.
Trancers is really good. I loved how inventive this movie was. Like it creates its own world. It's very tropey, but
Yeah.
in a way that pays like loving homage to those tropes, and it plays them very earnestly and sincerely. And I don't know. It's hard not to fall in love with this movie. So yeah, I dug Trancers a lot. I highly recommend people check it out.
Yeah. Even taking my fandom of Charles Band out of this, because I think that can warp some people's warp people's sensibilities of like what I try to express during like good Empire or Full Moon movies, where
Yeah.
I'll I can talk a big game about how much I love Gingerbread Man 2, or excuse me, Ginger Dead Man 2.
Right.
And like, okay, like, yeah, but like that's a no budget, it's a fun for what it is movie, versus something like Trancers where it transcends that into this is just a really good sci-fi action movie. Taking all the
Yeah.
Empire stuff, the fandom that I have for the people behind that, taking all of that out of it, it's just a really fun, really good sci-fi action movie. Great lead performances from Tim Thomerson and Helen Hunt. A fun villain, which I think is always
Oh yeah.
important in these movies with Whistler. Fun action sequences. You get all the sci-fi beats that you would want out of this. Again, tight 75 or 77 minute runtime. Trancers rules. It's gonna just keep growing in my love. So highly recommend this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. I will back you up. This is like when we're talking like cream of the crop Empire Pictures, Full Moon
Oh yeah.
Pictures, this is one of those.
Yep.
For sure.
All right. Well, that is our 1984 Christmas sci-fi double feature. Hope you all enjoyed that. This was so much fun. Like
Yeah.
great
This was
double
awesome.
feature. Yeah.
All right.
But we're not done yet, right? We're not
We're
done.
not done yet. I have an ad read for Terp Boys. That's right. Look, the holidays can be a stressful time. Sometimes you might need something to kind of relax yourself a little bit. Are you looking for a little extra buzz when you're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre? How about melting your mind while watching a David Cronenberg movie? Turp Boys Delta 8, 9, and THCA gummies, vapes, chocolates, and more has you covered. This plant-based product is made from the purest organic hemp-based extracts and backed by third-party laboratories. You can visit buyturpboys.com/screamsfromthebasementpod and use promo code screamsfromthebasementpod at checkout to save 10% off your order. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can just scan the QR code right below us. Yeah, Turp Boys, check it out.
Awesome. All right, Sam. What else we got? What else we got to do on this show?
Casey, I gotta ask that question. What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? I'm not going to speak a whole lot about these because we're nearing the end of the year. This is our Christmas episode. It's our last normal episode. It's our last episode, just you and I, double feature wise, on the show of the year. We do have one more interview coming out before we wrap up 2024. But then we're on to 2025, where our first episode will be our top 10 movies of 2024. So I'm playing catch up right now. And so there was 2 of them on here. I'll just briefly mention that I watched them and I liked both of them. And they could end up in that top 10 that I was talking about. I don't know, because I don't know what my top 10 is going to be yet, because I'm terrified of what this top 10 is going to be of mine, because I don't know. I really don't know. It's been a tough year so far. And these 2 could very well make it in there. Speaking of Full Moon Empire movies, The Primevals, which was this counts as a 2024 movie. It was released in 2024, made in 1994, but released in 2024. A movie that literally took 30 years to make. Finally completed it. Highly recommend this movie to everyone. It was a passion project for the entire team involved. This was David Allen, who was the great stop motion effects artist over at Full Moon. So anytime you see the great stop motion of Puppet Master, it was him and his team, and this was his big passion project that finally saw the light of day. The Primevals. It's about these like explorers who go and search for this Yeti, and they end up like discovering another world while following this Yeti. It's pretty incredible. Then the other one came out this year, Speak No Evil, the American remake starring James McAvoy. McAvoy's incredible in this movie. I think this movie is really, really good. Apparently pulls punches, though, compared to the original movie. I have not seen the original. Makes me more excited to watch that.
The original is fucking bleak, dude. Like,
okay. I wish this had that.
There are actually people that prefer this one because it doesn't have the completely fucking... I mean, the end of the Danish one is so fucking mean. It's just like,
I can see where that one goes, because this one doesn't go there. Yeah. I still recommend it. Speak No Evil. It's a good psychological... I don't want to call it a thriller, but it's a good psychological horror. James McAvoy is incredible in it.
Like, I'm very excited to watch it. If for anything, just another incredible McAvoy performance. And I'm probably going to be one of those people that prefers this one for the maybe a little more sanitized ending, because I don't think I'll ever watch the Danish one again. I just
excited to watch that one. I'll watch it after the new year. I'll finally go back and watch it.
Yeah.
The last 2, we have a couple crossovers. I'll save those for when we both talk about them. But the last thing then I'll say here is me and Kayla went to Krampusnacht in Sioux Falls a couple weeks ago. We had a couple people dressed as Krampus out in downtown Sioux Falls on Krampus night, Krampusnacht on, I think it's December 5th is when that is.
Yeah, December 5th, yeah.
And so afterwards, it was just a quick thing, got a picture with them. And then we made our way home. And what movie did we decide to throw on? Krampus. We watched Mike Doherty's Krampus. I wish I liked this movie. I want to like this movie. It just doesn't do it for me. I wish it did. There's so much in this that I like. For me, the best sequence is Krampus running across the houses.
Oh, yeah.
Terrifying. They kill off the sister way too quick. She probably should have survived a lot longer. It's a great sequence. I think Krampus looks incredible. I think the Jack in the Box thing is also an incredible monster. Yeah. I don't like the gingerbread man because the CGI is not great.
I don't mind it.
I just wish I liked this movie. I wish I liked this movie more.
Yeah.
I get why people like it. I do. I just it doesn't fancy. It's not what I have on my Christmas list, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's not on my Christmas list.
Yeah. I don't know. This is one that just clicked for me. Like, I remember watching it opening night in the theater and just being like, "Yeah, this is my shit." Like, yeah,
It's not a lump of coal. It's a fruitcake. Just not my thing.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I love
And
that.
then the last two are crossovers we can talk about with yours.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Sam, what about you? What have you been doing?
I'm just gonna talk briefly about two also new releases that I watched. I watched Smile 2. I really like the first one. This this one did very little for me. I heard a lot of people say it was like meaner, and I guess like on paper it probably is. I found this one more like unpleasant. It just felt like it was
Hmm.
very dialed up to 11 throughout the whole thing. So I get why people like it, because if you like that kind of like, it's just always throwing something at you, like that's great. I feel like the substance is kind of like that, but it was like that in a more palatable way to me than this one was. Um, I feel like I'm in the minority on it. So I like still recommend people check it out because it's getting like a great response. And I will say Naomi Scott is incredible in it. Her character's a different story, but once again, I feel like I'm in the minority. Yeah, so Smile 2, not my thing, but clearly a lot of people's. So check it out. Um I finally got around to Beetlejuice.
It's real.
It's real. It's an actual movie. And you know what? I liked it quite a bit. I didn't love it,
Yeah.
but I liked it a lot. It's very fun. It feels very Tim Burton. It is the most fun that he has had behind the camera in I don't know how long, and it was really good to see that again. Um, my biggest issue with this movie is some of my favorite parts are like could be completely excised from the film and it wouldn't make a difference because it's just this is a very all over the place movie. And I think I will like it more on a rewatch,
Yeah.
knowing what I am getting. And that I think it could end up being one of those that I continually start going back to. But it was just a lot the first time around. And there were some things that I'm like, ooh, I want more of that. And ooh, I want more of that. And I didn't get more of that.
You mean everything with his wife? Yeah.
Everything with his wife, everything with Willem Dafoe, who's fucking
He's so
hilarious.
good in that movie.
He's
He's
so
so good.
good. The Jenna Ortega love story that started out very generic and then took an interesting twist and then just ended. I was like, no, more of that, please. I just, there were some genuine surprises in this movie that I wish they'd just let us sit with a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one person you did not mention. I think it's probably the person you would also excise from this movie to make room for those.
Is it Justin Theroux?
Justin Theroux.
Okay,
He's
so
fine
here's
in the
the
movie,
thing.
but like,
So I thought he had some of the funniest moments. But yeah, his character is just nothing. Like
he's a
it,
nothing
it's
burger.
and I believe you said something to this point when you watched it. I do not like what they do with Lydia Dietz in this. I don't like how almost like willfully obtuse she's being to like the manipulation she's facing. Like she just doesn't have a whole lot of agency in the first couple acts of this movie. And I get that that's the point. It's like about her finding her agency again and like, but we sit with that for way too long. And I'm just like, Lydia Dietz would have caught on to this sooner,
Yeah.
So that kind of bummed me out a little bit. That said, um, God, I had so much fun with this one. I really did. So, uh, definitely recommend Beetlejuice. I did 2 rewatches from the late 2000s. I revisited The Fourth Kind, a movie that I had not watched since the very first time when it scared the living shit out of me. Um, Still a pretty terrifying movie in my opinion. I wrote at length about it on Patreon. So if you wanna join Patreon and check out more of my thoughts on that, I wrote, like, about 850 words about it, so and then I rewatched Adam Green's Frozen for the first time in probably over a decade. Oh, I love this movie. Like, I think it's Adam Green's best movie. I adore it. I think if you do not, like, either tear up, like, you have to at least tear up. I was, like, sobbing by the end of the fucking dog monologue. Like, how do you get through that with dry eyes? I don't know. Um, I this all practical, disgusting, great gore, like, a lot of tension. Yeah, this movie checks all the boxes. It does everything. Um, I disagree that the characters are unlikable. I would be pretty goddamn unlikable if I was stuck up in a ski lift and facing being frozen to death.
Yeah, this movie has a almost like a negative reappraisal recently, I think.
Yeah, I
I
kinda
don't
noticed that
understand
on
that. Yeah.
Letterboxd, and I was like, "Nah, this movie still absolutely fucks."
We as a horror society have done Adam Green a little bit of a disservice.
Yes, agreed. Like, he between the Hatchet series at large, Holliston, fucking Frozen, like,
Mhm.
he should be I want more opportunities for Adam Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Take notes. We want more Hatchet movies.
We want more I just want more Adam Green movies.
I
I
just
love
want
that
more
dude.
Adam Green
Yeah.
movies. Like, yeah, check out his podcast, The Movie Crypt, too,
I think
because
Victor
it's
Crowley was his last movie.
I think so. I don't think he's done a movie since then.
That
But
was 2017?
if
Yeah.
you yeah, if you listen to The Movie Crypt, they were banking a ton of episodes, and they had to postpone Yorkie-thon because Adam Green was going to be, I believe, filming somewhere.
Ooh,
So, we
okay.
might be hearing about an Adam Green project soon, is what I'm hoping.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. Um, God, I'm not just gonna keep plugging another person's podcast, but seriously, like, the fucking Movie Crypt.
That's fine. Friend of the show,
I love it.
Friend of the show, Joe
Friend
Lynch is
of the
dope.
show, Joe Lynch, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, alright. Um, yeah, and then after that, it was just, the movies that we hosted at the state.
Yeah, we had a
2
busy 2 weeks at the state back to back
Yeah,
weekends. We were back. This was our first time being back at the state since Halloween weekend,
yep.
and we were back hosting late night at the state. The first one up was
Satan Claus
Satan
is
Claus
coming to
Coming
town.
to Town, which was a Alamo Draft House release in 2018. It's basically a compilation film from the American Genre Film Archive. And basically they took a bunch of Christmas short films that were all shot on film from or shot on VHS from like the late 80s, early 90s, and basically compiled them into this hour and a half long movie that features like trailers in between of Christmas
Yeah.
horror movies. And it was so cool. It was such a cool experience. Nobody had any idea what to expect with this. None of these movies are streaming anywhere. We found out one of the shorts is on YouTube and that's it.
Yep.
But like you can't find these unless a theater programs Satan Claus is coming to town, some of these shorts. And that's what I love about this is like I just love that we have something like Agfa that keeps these films alive that would just
Yeah.
disappear at a time. Especially these movies that are literally no budget, shot with friends on a VHS camcorder movie.
Oh god, it's so great. There are 2 cats in one of the shorts. One that is clearly planned on being there and one that just clearly wandered into frame. There's a sequence with a skylight where a vampire Santa is, like, getting
There's
ready
a
to
vampire Santa.
and there's a vampire Santa, and it's, like, one of my favorite things ever. I love it. Um, and yeah, the cat just, like, literally wanders up to the skylight and, like, sniffs the Santa and then is, like, looking around, and it's clearly just some random stray. It's so great. Yeah, I had a blast with this. I gave it the full 5 stars. I'm not gonna lie, I do think the theatrical experience enhances
Yeah.
it, but I really, really so badly want this to be on like a Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow or Scream Factory Blu-ray because I have wanted to revisit so many of these shorts and they're just nowhere to be found, you know? Uh,
Yeah, I
so
would love a physical release of this. That would
yeah.
be incredible, and
Even if they
yeah,
had to take out the trailers for rights reasons, because I know, the trailers are probably what would hold it back. I would take just a compilation of the shorts, you
yeah,
know? Yeah.
yeah, so much fun. It was a blast. Perfect Christmas late night at the state.
Yep.
And then the next week we were back.
Yep. For the best Friday the 13th movie ever. Part 6, Jason Lives.
Jason Lives, baby. Yeah, we made it all the way to part 6, our favorite of the
Yep.
series. It's the best of the Friday the 13th series. Pretty much sold out crowd for it.
Yeah. And during kind of inclement weather,
Yeah.
not terrible weather, but bad enough to where, you know, yeah, it was a little slick on the way home.
Yeah, it was a little rough, but we made it out there for Friday the 13th part 6. It was
Yeah,
incredible, so much fun.
it
Love
was
that
great.
movie so much. We programmed the Alice Cooper he's
Music
he's he,
video.
he's back music video afterwards as like an after credits stinger, so we got to watch that on the big screen as well. Yeah, it was just so much
Yeah.
fun. We love late night at the state. We can't wait to be back probably in January for
Yeah,
that.
probably in January, and there are a few things that they've been I'm going for a Muppet Christmas Carol, I'm so excited.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it out
Yeah.
for any other Christmas.
Christmas
I
well,
mean, they sell
Christmas
out
is
so
tough because
fast.
they sell out, yeah.
They sell
I
out
just
so fast. So
I had to see Muppets. I
yeah,
just,
and I've
anytime they play a
seen
Muppet movie, I gotta see it.
I've seen most of them in previous years, so I
Yeah.
could at least cross them off my seen them
You're
at
like
the state bucket
bucket
list. Yeah.
list, yeah.
Like I watched Die Hard, I think last year, or the year before there, and
Oh, yeah, Die Hard's so fucking great on the
yeah.
big screen, like,
hmm
oh, so great.
But yeah, Sam, that's it. We did
That's
it.
it.
We did a podcast.
We did a podcast. So now it's time for the shameless plugs.
We have a
There's no
big
shame in plugging.
we have a zero shame in this big plug that we got to plug right here. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We have a giant plug. We need a plug. Sam,
Yeah.
what's that giant plug? Do you know where I'm going?
I think so, because I think you're talking about Screams by Night?
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on
Sam,
the
what is
same
Scream? What
page.
the heck is Screams by Night?
It is a day con that we're throwing in sorry, you're doing hand signals and I got
Sorry.
distracted. Um, we're doing a day con, April 26th. It's a Saturday. It's in Sioux Falls at the Social, and it is a celebration of all things spooky as like a halfway to Halloween checkpoint. Um, you know, April is halfway. We're 6 months out from Halloween
Mhm.
then, so we just thought we'd kick off, you know, spooky season is never ending, but like the official start of the spooky half of the year.
Yep. Yep. We all. I mean, this has been a project in the making for a long time. We've always wanted to do a halfway to Halloween because we're like, man, October's just overbooked with
Yeah,
horror stuff. We got to celebrate it all year round. Why not a halfway to Halloween event? So we're throwing this on the weekend that is halfway to Halloween. The weather's going to be nice. I mean, it's April in South Dakota. We're going to finally have away from terrible snowy, ice cold, freezing weather. It's going to be at least like nice enough for South Dakotans to go outside, have some fun. Again, April 26th at the Social in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That's just off East 10th Street. Go check out our Facebook. We have an entire event page where you can buy your tickets there as well. Only $10 for the day gets you in for as long as you want. We're gonna have over 2 dozen vendors probably. This is
yeah,
roughly what we'll have. We'll have some entertainment there as well. We're working on some guests that we will announce in the weeks and months to come.
yeah. Some pretty exciting names that we've been just talking to, feeling out. seeing what we're doing. So
yeah, it's going to be a good time. Gonna be a good time. Sam, speaking of social media and finding that event page, where can they find that, and where can they find all of our other social media channels?
Well, you can find the event page for Screams by Night on Facebook. That'll have all the information. That'll be where we make all of the announcements. And obviously, we'll share them on our social media pages as well, where you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. Yeah, we're regularly posting on all of those, so check that out. You can also now find us at patreon.com/screams from the basement if you want to get a little bit more bonus content from your basement boys. Yeah,
There
go
it
to
is.
yeah. If you're watching the video, we've got
Scan
another
that
handy
QR code,
QR
baby.
code. It's amazing, right? For $1, you can get our monthly newsletter where we talk about what we're going to be covering on the podcast and just things that we're kind of excited for in general. And a signed 8x10 artwork. The last of those will be going out this week.
It's like I don't have mine by me. Otherwise, it showed off. It's incredible. It's so good. It's Sam and I
I
as
don't have
spooky
mine either.
ghosts.
Yeah, we're spooky ghosts. It's fun. And then for $5, you get a bonus episode a month. Yeah, we've done.
This next one's going to be a banger. You're going to want to sign up for
Yeah.
the $5 tier just for this next episode. We're going to be doing tier ranking of over 30 movies coming out in 2025 in terms of our most excited to throw that in the trash. We don't even want to watch it anymore.
And there will be a few of those.
Oh, there's going to be a poo of those.
Yes.
We should just call it the poo. We should call it the poo.
The poo tier.
The poo tier with an H at the end of poo.
The poo, blood, and honey tier.
Yeah.
Anyways. So you get bonus episodes where you get to hear more banter like this.
Yeah. Can't get enough of that. Also, you can get some collection videos from my collection. I'll probably be showing off some Christmas themed stuff here through the end of the month. I do have where is he? I can't get out of the way. There he is. See him right there? You know who that guy is? That's Turbo Man. I'm going to show off some Jingle All the Way stuff this week. So if you're on our Patreon, be on the lookout for some. It's Turbo Time on Patreon. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's Turbo Time on Patreon.
It's Turbo Time on Patreon. But let's Turbo Time our way out of this podcast, Sam.
Yeah, let's do it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. And sweet screams.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.